He left. Okay. Marie Paganini.
She read the letter that I was.
Okay. Sharon Minnerly.
I'm no longer going to speak here. I expect Juliana was going to handle that.
Okay. Brian McDonald.
Good evening. I'm Brian McDonald, 86 Wyoming Avenue. I have sort of mixed feelings about giving this speech tonight, but you gave me a microphone, and you're here. I sort of feel I should save it for the Board of Finance, but I guess I have your attention. Despite your good intentions and understanding of the problems, I fear that the Board of Finance will be looking for their pound of flesh. I'm here tonight to voice my support for the programs and the teachers who are coming under the microscope of budgetary scissors. I taught for 36 years in another Litchfield County school system, ironically teaching Spanish to 7th and 8th graders. I can attest to the success of the program brings and how much it is respected by better colleges. It's unfair to students to eliminate it from the curriculum, not to mention foolish, along with the other languages. In my free time as a retiree, I took the time to browse the web, which ranked school districts here in Connecticut. I didn't expect to find us contenders with Avon, Ridgefield, and New Fairfield, but I didn't expect Torrington to be ranked 117th out of 165 either. My gosh, instead of eliminating and cutting programs, we should be out there hiring positions previously eliminated through attrition and through reduction. Since the year 2000, positions have been systematically eliminated through attrition, and they have severely, no more profoundly wounded the continuity of our educational progression. Where are all the electives that were promised to students to go along with their fields of interest? Within the last 10 years, the credits available for high school students was dropped from 32 to 29. The passing grade was lowered, and the dropout and the expulsion rate soared. How can we expect to better our school systems by continually chopping the people and programs that run the school? After the last battle we received from the accreditation committee, I can't believe that we are tempting the forces that be to deny accreditation for not supplying the students with classes and services. You don't draw people and businesses into our town by letting the school system flounder. Fight for our students and they will blossom. Don't chop programs just for the sake of saying I did. Do the right thing. Make us proud of our school systems and they will pay dividends in the future. Thank you for your attention.
Mr. Barrett.
My name is William Battle. I'm a senior citizen with an adolescent boy in a middle school, so I have a special
Excuse me, Bill. Could you get a little closer to the mic because we really can't hear you.
Oh, okay. My name is William Battle. I'm a senior citizen with an adolescent boy in the middle school, so I hope you'll bear with me a minute. I'm a little bit naive. I'm still from that age where we talk about English and diagramming sentences on the boards and things like that. So what I'm going to say here is, one of the things that we've been talking about is, I wonder, now that we have a local superintendent that I'm very happy to have, why do we not take the next step, maybe, and consider municipal control of our school system? Why do we have to give up all of our options to the state and their mandates, many of which come to us with restrictive covenants that have our teachers bent into pretzels trying to make them work for the school systems? And it's time, I think, that we look in terms of municipal control of the schools. For instance, who says that we need to have thousands of dollars spent on a technology system simply to test our CMT students 2 years from now? What is the need for that? Why do we have to have that? What is the purpose of it? Is that for the state to know what we're doing here? I'm quite sure they can figure it out. Why do we need all of these mandates to come that don't have anything to do with education? Why are we funding in our school system the ability, and I understand that we may need this, but I don't believe that we can teach parenting. It's an interesting concept, and I know a lot of people have thought about it, but I don't think it can be taught, and it definitely shouldn't be taught at school. It can be taught other places other than the school system. Why are we having so many things that don't have anything to do with education that's part of our school system? That's something that I would like you all just take a minute or so and think about when we're cutting things that really we need in the school system. They don't have to be there. That's all I have to say. Once again, I'm from an old-fashioned place where my alma mater, Hill House High School, had the same as this one called Bacchus Beni Fac, which meant that you had to know the Latin in order to understand it. It means whatever you do, do well. One hopes that we can still do that. The other thing about Torrington, if you look at the weekend newspapers, our graduate students are making D's lists all over the country in some of the better schools. We're not doing as bad as they say we are.
Mary?
Good evening. I'm Mary Svech-Giuliano. I teach at Vogel Wetmore School in Torrington, and I will tell you this is my 27th year in the Torrington Public School System, and I am very proud to be a Torrington Public School teacher. I say 27 years just to let you know the consultants have been here 4 years longer than the previous speaker was able to attest to. So far, the most appalling thing I think I've heard tonight is that our math consultant for grade 5 is a non-essential position. I consider her to probably be the most essential position along with our literacy positions at the elementary level. I took the time to collaborate some statements from teachers that I would like to share with you that they sent me via email. With the Common Core state standards coming, there are significant changes taking place at each grade level. Teachers will need leadership to implement these changes. That is exactly what the K-5 math curriculum person does. She also provides consistency in implementing the math curriculum across our 5 elementary schools. Without her, I'll jump to another teacher who called her the glue. Give me 1 second. She is the glue that binds our math across the district. The second thing, I find it amazing when the whole country is moving towards math and science improvement that you would even question the removal of a math consultant when that is one area of need that we continue to strive to improve year after year. And as you can tell by the data, we are improving it. Another teacher wanted to share the meaningful professional development that that the math consultant provides. She meets with teachers on a monthly basis. And that's every teacher, every grade level across the district. I don't know how to convey to you how amazing that is to me. I meet with her once a month, and sometimes I feel like it's an inconvenience in my preparations for my classroom. I can't imagine doing the amount of meetings that she does. She assists any teacher anytime in examining student work, in identifying patterns and data to help our instruction in our classroom. Not just district-wide. She will sit with a teacher. She will look at what you're doing as a teacher. She will look at the outcomes of your students, and she will let you know what you can do better. As a regular classroom teacher, I don't have that expertise. And I truly feel my kids would not be as successful in math if it was not for this math consultant. She will come and model any lesson. If she's trying to explain something, if the math consultant is trying to explain something, they come into the classroom and they model for you exactly what it is they are trying to get you to do, trying to share with you, trying to improve upon your teaching. She is, the math consultant researches the most current math materials. She shares them with us, provides us with materials, assists us. One other teacher went to say that she stays way beyond her call of duty to assist in this teacher's classroom to help with the students. I would like to finally leave you with just one thought. If you remove this K-5 consultant, that leaves these elementary students with 0 help in math.
Is there anyone that came in after the sign-up list was pulled? Aye.
Jim Powell, 292 Highfield Drive. I just wanted to give you a little information in terms of athletics that may help you in your decision-making. I understand that I was asked to make a 10% cut. I was able to cut approximately $30,000 and still feel like we hadn't destroyed anything yet. In addition to the custodial overtime being added to the athletic budget this year, we increased the salary of the athletic trainer by request of Charlotte Hungerford by $3,000 total. And we also had to increase our insurance that we have for the student athletes because there were more claims being made than in the past. So there's 3 significant line items that were added to the budget before, you know, that we would have to add to last year's operating budget in order for it to come out anywhere near equal. On Monday, I held a emergency coaches meeting. They looked at what I had done. They felt confident what I had done would work, and if need be, at the high school level, the general feeling was that the $25 pay to play was not a big issue, that it could be handled if that was something we were asked to do. I guess that's about it for now. I know there'll be more discussion, so thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for your comments. We are back to the last topic that had been brought up in the early discussions, and that is the coaching positions. Are there any motions as far as the coaching positions?
I'd like to make a motion that we eliminate the 3 coaching positions, 2-year positions that have been on the books, and eliminate those 3 positions.
Just to clarify, that's numeracy K through 5, numeracy 6 through 12, and literacy 6 through 12.
Those 3 positions, yes.
All right, do we have a second for that? Second for Mr. Cavanero. Okay, discussion.
I have a question on the literacy coaches at the elementary school. You're saying each school, all 5 elementary schools have a literacy coach? So there's 5, they're coaches, they're consultants, I'm not positive the difference, but, and those 5, none of those 5 have actual classes either, where they
Yes.
teach?
Not a self-contained classroom. They are in classrooms all day long because it's how you provide literacy instruction into small groups. You don't teach a class of 20 reading anymore, literacy. It's not how it works.
So that,
They also do everything else that was listed in the information you received this weekend. It's,
To answer your question, Andrew, they don't sit in a specific classroom, no. They travel from classroom to classroom to assist the other teachers.
okay.
What's really hard for me is to be honest with you, this is the first time I've had it actually explained to me, thank you for whoever came forward, the breakdown of the actual coaching structure within our school system. I mean, just so you know, right, what the board got was this, you probably can't see it, but it's very, very difficult for lay people like on the board to follow exactly what any of this means. And like it or not, as I know you know, get down to talking about, it's just remarkable when it comes to at the beginning of the budget season, we talk about, well, we'll just, we're gonna take 2.5 teachers from here, we take 4 teachers from there, we take 6 teachers from there. It just seems like, all of a sudden, when you're talking about just eliminating teachers, it's very easy and facile. It just seems like there isn't a whole lot of discussion. But then when it moves up the food chain to something that we thought, the board thought, were basically administrative positions, suddenly there's, the cavalry's called in and there's a whole lot of data that is thrown at us and we're supposed to try to absorb it and come to an honest assessment of what is really needed. And when I look at this, I realize the elementary literacy coaches, I mean, that's been going on since what year? How long have they been in the system?
Elementary,
I mean, years and years.
27.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is when I see, okay, because again, as a board member, when I get this data and I see, my point was made earlier, I see basically improvement throughout.
That's in mathematics. It's the same chart that you just received.
And I'm seeing a lot of it I'm basically seeing, for the most part, continuing in writing as well. Reading and writing. I'm seeing basically a move forward, going back to 2006. I was under the impression that we were talking about error positions from basically, that were in place for 1 year, and that was right, and that was what was being attributed to this success. And there's been steady success prior to this, and I wanted to be sure that we're talking about the regular teachers, not the coaches, but that this progress is being made by regular teachers, probably most of whom are not represented here, who day to day do their job as they were hired to do. And then it became a question of what was the luxury in all of this? Do we need the literacy certification? Yeah, I think we need those elementary 5. I don't know. I don't know why anymore we need math. I know you say we have to have them. It seems like you hire. That's what's also difficult. I want you to understand this. Those of you who are teachers out there. But those who aren't teachers who aren't in public education, it's hard for us, as taxpayers, but also as parents, and just as responsible adults in our fields of work. I mean, we don't have coaches. When we're hired to do a position, we're expected to know how to do that. And it's just difficult for us to understand why teaching math in 2011, 2009, 2007, why that's so different than teaching math 20 years ago. It's hard to understand that.
It's not just computation and regurgitation. Students really have to think. They have to be able to.
But they did. I remember students thinking when I was in school. I do. I do.
But it's.
And we had nuns, for God's sakes. And some of the nuns managed to teach us how to do reading, writing, and arithmetic. But we didn't have consulting nuns. They didn't. They had yardsticks.
It's very different.
Nuns.
What students are expected to
Why is
be
it so
able to do.
different?
Why?
Yeah.
Because
the qualification tables changed.
it's how you apply it. You just don't regurgitate that 3 times 5 is 15. You have to be able to say, when would I use this in a problem? Students are given problems. They have to be able to read it. They have to understand not only the concept language, but also the instructional language. They have to determine, they have to get the answer, but they also have to be able to say how they got the answer. They have to explain their thinking process.
Okay, I get that, but isn't that what the teacher's job is to do? When we hire a teacher for a 4th grade class, isn't that what the 4th grade teacher's job is? Isn't that why we hire them? Aren't they trained to do that?
Yes. But
why do they need coaching?
Because your standards are changing on what is expected on each grade level now. What is the outcome for students? It's all changing. Where it used to be in the spiral, and Sue, you can chip in at any time, but where it was a spiral, now we're saying this is specifically what they need to be able to demonstrate K2, 3, 5. So in the past, might have started being taught on a kindergarten level, and then it was added to on a 1st grade level, and then it added to a 3rd grade level. They're no longer looking at the instruction that way. They're saying this is solidly what students have to be able to demonstrate.
But you have a generation of this, and we're falling further and further and further behind other countries in the industrialized world.
This is our national state standards, which Connecticut is going to adhere to, rather than our own curriculum frameworks. It's going to, so this is for every child.
Before the days of external accountability, teachers could teach what they chose, and they could follow a program. You could hand them books, say, start at chapter 1 and work your way through. Now, in the age of accountability, it's not only important for the teachers to deeply understand their content, but they also have to utilize a very wide variety of instructional strategies, which they may or may not have been exposed to in their teacher education programs, in order to reach all of the students with the many different learning needs that they have. In order for teachers to keep up with their daily planning, and it was pointed out earlier, especially at the elementary level, it's not a single content area, but multiple content areas for which they must prepare. They need to have someone with content expertise who deeply understands the information to assist them in providing what the students in their class need. Part of the reason why we have been so successful in our elementary math scores, so respectable across the state, is that teachers have had that ongoing support and expertise and encouragement. They have a position that's dedicated to being state-of-the-art, to providing them with resources, and to assuring that their skills continue to be improved on a day-to-day basis for their professional benefit and for the benefit of their students. So it's not a free-for-all anymore. We have very, very clear accountability measures that we have to address because of state assessments, because of federal assessments. Maybe addresses what Mr. Battle says earlier, but that's the world in which we live in education today.
But the standards are going down.
All right.
It's going down.
So, no, we're gonna go over here. You guys, we're gonna let everybody get a chance to get their first comments in. Mr. Kiska.
Huge difference between what we're doing now and what we used to do, and an even bigger difference between what could happen in parochial schools a few years ago and what happens in public schools now. These teachers would kill for the kinds of family background for their students that you could expect in a parochial school.
That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's what's happening. It looks so easy. I went into a fourth grade classroom. I responded to the letters that they sent us. Remember that stack we got from one of the fourth grades? Well, I went back and talked to them. That classroom was the kind of classroom that you saw in teacher training videos when I was, a million years ago, when it was on 16 millimeters. The kids are all sitting there, well-behaved, cute, clean, and polite. The classroom was set up perfectly, posters and everything else. It was all perfect. And that doesn't just happen, though. If anybody who wasn't skilled at the fourth graders, Bart Simpson's in fourth grade. Right? Isn't he in fourth grade? If people who weren't experienced and trained just walked in and tried to make that happen, it wouldn't work. And they need all the help they can get. The help that teachers used to get from families, that they could expect from families, from parents, and from, yeah, right. And the community, they now have to either provide themselves or get from the various support people around them. Principals, assistant principals, in this case coaches, if that's the topic of discussion now, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't just happen. It happens because we are willing to devote the resources so that the classroom teachers can use those. Anytime a classroom teacher shifts from third to fourth grade, sounds easy. You move people around, you put a position here or there. So some teacher who's used to teaching third grade now teaches fourth grade. Very different standards, especially now that the state is defining more and more of what has to happen by the end of the year at any grade level, or at the end of any second grade, the next grade up. Huge amount of difference. You need some help in doing that. So I understand why these coaches are necessary. And the elementary school is probably a better place for a coaching position anyway, because elementary teachers, I think in general, are more collaborative. The school is set up that way. They're more, I think, I hate to say anything bad about high school teachers, but the elementary teachers are more willing to cooperate with each other and actually get along and do what they're told. High school teachers all want to have it our own way. And, when Ken starts talking about maybe the secondary coaches being cut in the interest of maybe some greater stability because of administrative positions, I hear that. I'd go along with that. I don't have any problem with that. But at the elementary level, you need those people.
Mr. Marola.
First of all, I mean, to say that, you know, a 3.59% increase is irresponsible, I personally feel that the city asking for a 0% for the third year in a row is irresponsible. I do. And other city boards have gone above a 0, and I think we have a lot of catching up to do with 2 years of 0. And I think this is how we have to do it.
Mr. Rivera.
I'd like to bifurcate the coaching positions from secondary to primary. I really would hope that we consider maybe amending the motion to address elementary and secondary separately. John stole a little bit of my thunder, but again, K through 5, the data supports the use, or the need, rather, for this position. I also think, again and again, if they have good foundations in elementary school, it's easier in middle school and high school. The trend will follow them up. Correct me if I'm wrong, the 6 through 12, both of them were grant funded. Was the K through 5, it never was grant funded. So to me, it's a different animal. I mean, we're talking about positions that were grant funded, ones that were never grant funded. They're different school systems. You have a numeracy coach that does all 5 schools in K through 5. It's amazing to me. I would just like to, I wish we could talk about it separately. I can't vote for everything all at once. It's not my motion, it's also.
Yeah.
There is a motion.
Motion to eliminate all 3.
Do you have anything to add?
I'm in agreement with Chris.
Yeah, no, I would echo.
Daniel?
I agree with Chris. We just vote.
Do you have a wish to amend your motion as requested, or do you want to leave it on its merit? All right. Seeing no more discussion, the motion is to terminate the 3 coaching positions, 2 numeracy, and 1 literacy. Sorry. You tell where my strong point was in school. All those in favor? Opposed? Afraid of where it's going to go.
Okay.
They were all just standing.
I know.
She got to sit down. Yes,
Okay.
Mrs. Captain. Yeah.
I am not comfortable at all going into next year without an additional assistant principal at Torrington High School. We have created the perfect storm at Torrington High School between cutting all the department heads, cutting the assistant principal, the increase of the differential in the student population entering the high school. And I am not going to next year blame the high school if we set them up for failure. So I would like to make a motion that we add an assistant principal to Torrington High School and that the administration determine how they're going to pay for that position.
Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Marola. Discussion. John? Anything?
I think it's a great idea to put a new administrator, an additional administrator into the high school.
Anything?
Absolutely.
Second?
Second.
Anything? Agree? Any discussion? Yes, Mr.
I'm glad that we like administrative positions, coaching positions, people like that. But if your concern is discipline, why wouldn't you propose, instead of having a high-priced assistant principal, why wouldn't you ask for a second resource officer be provided in
lost our resource officer at the middle school due to the fact that the police department was understaffed. If we have a student resource officer, we do not control when that person's there. If the police department needs them, they take them. If we have a dedicated employee of ours, we control their work schedule. No one can take them away.
But why should it be an assistant principal as opposed to someone who's actually has expertise in being a quasi-resource officer, or not a quasi-resource officer? I mean, there's no school district anywhere that employs resource officers who aren't directly employed by the local police departments or the state police department.
You could add, we have a, what is his position? We have a security para in the high school now.
Well,
you could increase that position. You could hire an outside security company.
What are our options?
What's the dollar?
It's a valid, intelligent question. What are the options besides adding another administrator plus salary and benefits and increasing our administrative staff? Once again.
Well, ultimately, all those positions can do is investigate. They can't hand down any discipline. Right now, what's going on, we're tying up our administrators with discipline issues. We're tying their hands to be able to do what they should be doing in their building, evaluating staff, working with staff, going to PPTs. There is not enough of them at the high school to justify the numbers. We see the numbers every month of what's going on. You know, they're cracking down on discipline. We want them to hold students accountable. They need support to be able to do that. Having 100 investigators that can't seal the deal doesn't help anybody. You need people that can split it out, whether it be by grade level, however they want to structure it. The person's got to be able to finish what they started. What good is it if the 3 people up there get 200 reports on their desk every day? This is what we're investigating, now you take it over. They can't finish it. So it doesn't matter how many we have up here.
And how does an assistant principal finish the deal when the student commits an assault or some form of misdemeanor or felony, and the police department has to come take that student away?
Because it ends with them.
Finish the deal.
No, because they can determine the discipline. No one else can. If the student gets arrested, that's separate from the discipline the school issues. Someone has to determine if the student is suspended, brought forward for expulsion. The police department doesn't do that. The administrator does that. The arrest is a separate incident to what the school dictates the discipline is.
Mr. Jocelyn?
Just to clarify, in serious disciplinary issues that come up, ones that typically result in an in-school suspension, an out-of-school suspension, or an expulsion, you're required to do a due process hearing with the individual. The administrator is required to be there, is required to hear the student's testimony, required to hear the witness's testimony, and provide that meeting with the student, which is required by law before you administer any serious discipline. Now, you can have a security para, you can have a security officer, but unless you have an administrator to sit in on that due process hearing, you're not staying within the law.
And our administration personnel have been so overburdened with these hearings and matters that they're not being able to stay on top of it.
I think that's what we're hearing from the board, that...
well, I mean, you would know more than the board.
Well, that's not the only thing.
That's not necessarily true. We do attend those meetings.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we go. So we do know what happens at those levels.
Yeah, how many expulsion hearings have you done this year?
About 15.
Yeah,
You've done 15.
Yeah.
So,
Plus or
to a
minus.
month. So you have 2 assistant principals up there now and a principal.
But expulsions happen at all levels. I mean, sometimes
And
they...
there's also in-school suspensions.
Out-of-school suspensions.
Out-of-school suspensions, on top of evaluations that need to be done by a certain date, on top of hopefully working with teachers and resolving staffing issues, coverage issues, things of that nature, so.
And PPTs.
PPTs, thank you.
And parents.
And parents that are complaining. And attendance.
Mr. Kiska?
Most of these disciplinary things that assistant principal does don't rise to the level of police intervention. The kid who doesn't behave in class, who maybe needs to be talked to somebody besides by somebody besides the teacher, the kid who doesn't get to class that time, these are not things that require police intervention, a uniformed officer carrying a gun. I'm not a big fan of SROs. We maybe need them at Torrington High. I don't know. I would much rather have that kid go to an assistant principal, someone who's probably been a teacher, who knows how to hear both what the sending teacher, if it's a kid who's been referred to the office, and the kids say, and then to make a decision about how to go with that. Someone who has the confidence of the teacher, someone who has the confidence of the upper administration, the guidance officers, and someone who can deal from an educational standpoint with parents and with whomever else in the community they need to. I would hate to think that everything that a kid did, especially for the kids that you can save, and you can save 99% of them if you do it right, you push them away with a cop. You really need, I think, to have, you can have a strong assistant principal can probably do more than a cop, in fact, because they don't engender that kind of resistance from some kids. I think you're better off, much better off, with an administrator. And as Ken said, you know, he's your employee. He does pretty much what you direct him to do and is responsible to if he doesn't, instead of being responsible to somebody at the North End Police Station who may or may not feel the same way about education, kids, and academics as we do.
I do just want, I mean, the police department did notify of it. They didn't take the SRO because they didn't think the position was important. They had a number of officers that were out, so that's why he was removed for a period of time. So they do find the position important. I just don't want the police department to think that we're... Any further discussion?
Response to you, which is, you talked about students' respect. The problem that I perceive with the student population, especially at the high school and at the middle school, is that there is a good minority of students who have totally no respect for administration, teachers, and maybe the only thing that can actually at least control them to a degree is to have that authoritative figure, such as a police officer in the building, and if not, a professional security type person who actually does this for a profession. And I think you need some type of mix, because these kids clearly, the ones that we're talking about that are assaulting other kids, the ones that are disrespectful to teachers, that walk around the building using profanity, being disrespectful, not listening, they clearly aren't being respectful to the teachers, and I find it hard to believe they're going to be any more respectful to an assistant principal. And I've been seeking some type of alternative to how discipline has been conducted at the high school since I've been on the board. It seems like we continue to go in the same direction, and that's clearly not the answer. So that's just my opinion.
I would not disagree that there are a lot of kids who are exactly the kind of kids you're talking about, but there are also a lot of kids who don't need to run into a police officer.
But they're the ones that are taking up the majority of administrative time and service time, and they're the ones that are really being the most destructive to this high school culture, and they're the ones that are really taking down the reputation. It's a small minority, but it's such a prevalent, dominant group of students. If the administration that we had now had an answer, I would assume this school would not be in the level of chaos that it's in now.
Point of order.
All right, wait a minute, you just went too far.
Okay, why too far?
Because you just started evaluating the administrative staff.
Yep.
You gotta watch, Mr. Oliver has the floor.
What's going on?
Mr. Oliver has the floor.
I just want to move the question on this. We have a motion on the floor, so I want to move that question. So I need a vote to move the question, to end discussion.
I'll make a motion to end discussion.
All those in favor of...
What was the motion? What was
The motion is,
To add an assistant principal at the high school and let the administration determine how they're going to fund that without increasing the budget. Is that right?
That's correct.
Shouldn't we have an answer for that? How they're gonna do that?
Could get rid of the coach.
At the,
It's up, right, they could.
however they decide to do it, as long as that, we have to, our responsibility is to get a number to the city tonight, right? We have to get it to the city, we have to vote on a budget. As long as that budget figure doesn't move, we'll figure that out. That's their job. And we also have to be careful about, I think that we as a board do not necessarily determine all of the positions within the school system. That's not our realm of responsibility. It is our responsibility to hire a superintendent and then hold her accountable for the happenings within the district. I think every year we walk up against a very fine line in this discussion, but nevertheless, I move the question, we're voting on right now whether or not we're going to end discussion.
all those in favor of ending discussion and moving the question? Opposed? Okay, 9-1. Those in favor of adding a high school assistant principal and letting administration determine the funding source? All those in favor?
Oh, I'm in favor.
Now I gotta count all over again.
I'm tired.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in favor, against, 2 against. Okay. Yes, sir.
I would move that we eliminate the literacy and numeracy coaches 6 through 12 grant-funded position.
Do I have a second for that motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nargi. Discussion. I think we've beat this horse as far as we can beat it. All those in favor of...
Discussion, there was some discussion, I have something.
Well, I asked and there wasn't any hands, I'm sorry.
Hands going up now.
Okay.
I won't support that, even though I understand where you're coming from, but given the fact that I am now thinking of these more as teaching positions, administrative positions, I would like to follow that up with a motion for the administration to cut from central office to administrative functions to cover both the addition of the high school assistant principal and elimination of director of special programs.
Okay.
So I'm letting you know why I would vote against that, because once again, convince me these are actually.
He's not making a motion. He's stating that he's going to.
Central office.
So we have a motion on the floor that's been seconded.
Right,
That was
we
part of
have
your
this-
discussion. So we,
Yes.
Correct.
Discussion by Andy.
Discussion again. As far as these coaches are concerned, what I don't quite understand is, how often do we change the textbooks in any of these core subject matters? I mean, the teacher is teaching out of a textbook that we've had. No, we change textbooks
We're
every year.
not changing the textbooks because we're not using textbooks because the textbooks are no longer aligned to the Common Core standards as they have been presented by the state and by the federal consortium. So right now, part of the process that the coaches are assisting with are identifying appropriate resources and developing units of study in order to replace topics that have been moved or topics that are now obsolete in their existing grade level. So right now, really, there are very few places in the district where we can have teachers teaching out of a textbook, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Teachers need to know their content deeply, and that's part of the role that these people play in identifying appropriate materials to address the standards for a wide variety of learners in the classroom. So we're not purchasing textbooks in the upcoming budget. We're using a variety of supplemental resources, internet-based resources, and other types of instructional materials in order to deliver a curriculum which is aligned with the Common Core standards.
And when do these teachers get this new material? They get it during the summer, they get it on the first day? How do they prepare in the course of the year for a wide, never-changing subject content matter? teachers are constantly learning day by day.
Year by year, a teacher never stops learning, they can't. Because you also add to it the fact that you have children with specific needs in the classroom, you have second language learners in the classroom. Those are all different strategies that a teacher needs to know so she can differentiate, or he can differentiate the instruction to these children. So a teacher needs not only to know content, but they also need to know how different learners learn. And then to organize and manage their classroom to create a conducive learning environment for everybody there. And at the same time, develop their instructional materials to reach and meet the different students' needs.
And they do that in prep time every day?
They do it at night and on weekends.
Daniel, do you have anything to add to this discussion?
I'd just like to move this to a vote, please.
All right. Does anyone else have any discussion about it, or we move it? All right. All those in favor of eliminating the 6 through 12 numeracy and literacy coaching positions? All those in favor? We have 2. Opposed?
Anchors.
8. Okay. The only other topic that I had that hadn't been discussed yet was the cutting of the Director of Special Services position. Oh, special program.
She's sitting right there.
This would have been the shortest
Sorry.
superintendency reign in Torrington if you did that.
I'm sorry, Beth. I apologize. You guys need to diversify your names a little bit.
Everyone's special.
There's too many directors of special. All right. Do we have a motion to?
Yes.
We have a motion by Mr. Cavanero to remove the position Director of Special Services. Do we have a second? Special programs. Sorry. Do we have a second to that? Second by Mr. Nargi. Discussion. Fiona.
I think it's important that we look at the amount of money that was brought in grants in comparison to the salary, which we have somewhere. I have it somewhere, but I believe it was well over $1.5 million.
Yes.
We brought in over $29 million.
$29 million.
Per year.
No,
Wait a minute.
Is $29 million.
but those aren't, that includes EC.
Yes, that includes all grants.
So if you take that out, we estimate $24 million, right? And then you have, grants for public education comes out. It's about $2 million.
Oh, God, no, it's much more than that, yeah.
We have that whole list.
Last year? Last school year? What are we looking at?
It was a one-point agency.
It's in this. It's in the booklet.
Well, I would assume the only school year we looked at was the school year where we actually had a person doing that job full-time.
Right.
So that would be the
That's 18,000.
9-10 school year.
I've been doing grants in the position of administrator on special assignment. How many different titles have I had? But anyway, I've been in 5 years, I've been writing grants for this district.
Correct. I'm just trying to get the most recent data for the grants that were available.
We have a total grants of $29 million. You got to take out the 24 for ECS. Oh, you're doing it.
Yes.
And then $2 million for transportation.
She'll get right back to you with that number. Does anyone have any further discussion?
On page
Chris?
14 and 15 of your.
Cheryl can tell us how much of her time in that capacity when she was there was spent grant writing.
How much time in your capacity while you were the Director of Special Programs did you spend grant writing?
Half.
About half.
A simple grant takes about 30 hours. Deb, how many hours did we spend? We did 5 at once, and we probably had over 200, 250 hours in doing those 5 grants
And what,
at one time.
not to sound anything, what else besides the grant? So I'm thinking,
What else did I
you
do?
know, if we have to hire a grant person and someone else, and they're both half-time, and that equals a full-time person, you might not save any money, but.
Okay,
It's
I was also responsible for the ELL program district-wide, which incorporated about 368 students and 13 teachers that I supervised, you know, met with in faculty meetings, you know, wrote budgets for, oversaw any of the, we have 3 ELL grants, which we use for tutoring and extra support, again, working with students in classes, the TAG program, and also work with Torrington Early Childhood Collaborative, which included our school readiness program, writing the whole, we've received multiple year grants through the Graustein Foundation to establish this whole early childhood collaborative. And we wrote a plan and results.
How much was that grant alone?
Which one? School readiness? Graustein? Graustein Memorial. It's, yeah. I can't see. Yeah, 133,000.
Do you need a separate certification or any kind of?
No.
Anything extra to deal with the ELL, ESL
Oh,
portion?
it would be good to have someone who at least is an ELL teacher.
Someone like a literacy coach? Did that person do that?
No, it would have to be somebody who's certified ELL. What we could do, been thinking a lot about this, because I was also at one time, for a couple of years, I was district-wide test coordinator. I mean, you name it, what's great, you know, yeah, Sue does it now, but I'm just saying, what couldn't be done kind of got like scraped onto my plate. So with ELL, we could offer a stipend to, right now we have primary and secondary coordinators for ELL because it's overseeing the last links, that's the testing, it's also assessing students who are coming into kindergarten so we know who will need bilingual and ESL services, things like that. We could offer a stipend for them to pick up components. The principals will have to do the evaluation pieces.
Thank you.
Is it possible to freelance this? I mean, just give somebody 10% and we do the private sector. You know, you make $2 million, you get $200,000. That's pretty incentivizing.
You'd have to probably pay them something to write them, and then we can build in an administrative fee in the grant if the grant allows administrative fees. Not all grants will let you do that.
But why would it have to be structured in the grant? Can it be just a contract with the Board of Education, you know?
Oh, yeah,
Like
this
the other
is,
MOU, you know, whatever you bring in, we'll give you 10%. You're not an employee, you'll say, we're not going to pay you that, you're not going to do this.
right. Yeah, we could just pay an hourly rate to write it, or at least have a little piece of money to say, okay, we can pay them to get them started in writing the grant. And then in the grant, you know, it wouldn't be a full-time job, it wouldn't be an employee.
No, what Paul's saying is it's a success fee. You know, if you bid the job and you get the job, you get the job. If you bid the job, you don't get the job, you don't get the job. So if they write the grants, they get money, if we get it. If they don't get the grant, it was, you know, thank you for your time, good luck on the next one.
They don't.
If you're talking about $2 million worth of grants, that's.
There's districts that do that.
Incentive to farm it out.
Cheryl just did it at halftime without that commission.
Trying to avoid
Right.
adding yet another administrator to the
But
central office
I
to
would,
do what is essentially a form of fundraising.
There are professional fundraisers, though, Paul. I'm just, to play devil's advocate, I know a number of them that raise money for a number of different charities, and they actually do get paid a VIG, if you will, a commission based on the amount of money that they raise.
That's what I'm saying, though. Why can't we do that? Why is that?
I'm just saying, why would you want to at this point? If you just use your 10% analogy, Cheryl would have made $250,000 last year. I mean, she would have liked it. I'm saying,
5%, I mean, you know, right now, we're just throwing numbers, so you make it 5%, come up with a reasonable number, based on past performance.
Before you could do that, though, you'd have to find out what the market would bear. I mean, you know,
Why
if,
can't we
if,
do that? Instead of putting yet another yearly.
all right, we can do
position for
that, but we
grant
have approximately an hour and 40 minutes to come up with a number. So we're not gonna reach any grant writers right now to come up with a percentage that they would work on. You know, unfortunately, we're at the 11th hour. It's, you know, it's something we could definitely look into. I mean, we're talking about,
And I say we not support this, and I say we not support this position, because we can't, I think it's equally ludicrous to add yet another administrative, ongoing, rolling administrative cost to our budget to write grants when it may very well be more profitable, more lucrative, and may result in more grant money coming to us to outsource. And we look at that this coming school year.
Daniel, do you have any comments?
I would look at this and say the position is a $120,000 position. We're beating a dead horse here. I mean, if we're sitting here, we're saying we can guarantee ourselves $2.5 million already in grants for backfilling the position. I mean, you're gonna make your money, what, 1,000 times over, a little more than that? This is ridiculous. Just move it ahead, and then if things get really tight and we have to scrape up, we'll save another $40,000 and get a part-time grant writer. Let's just move this ahead, please.
Andrew, any discussion?
Just on the grants, are they sustainable once you get the grant, or you have to continue to keep writing those grants year in and year out?
You have to write the grant. Once you receive it, you have to watch how, you have to make sure that what you've written is implemented. So you have to manage the grant, you have to manage the budget that you created with the grant, and then you have to write a full evaluation of the grant once you've implemented it on a yearly basis.
you have to audit it as well, right?
Yeah.
It has to be audited as well to make sure it's in compliance. That's the.
Yeah. You have to, I mean, it's more than just writing the grant. It's who's going to oversee it to make sure that what is written in the grant is actually implemented. And then you create the budget, and you have to make sure that the money, just like this budget, that this is what you said you're gonna spend the money for, and it's spent for that and not for anything else. And there's a whole process that if you want to transfer funds, you have to transfer funds. If you have, within the grant, it allows you to hire people, and you have to make sure that if they're filling out time cards, what their time cards are every week, you have to sign off, you have to say, okay, this is to what grant, you know, there's a big management piece with it too.
And just to be like kind of in a compromising mode, I'm not saying that I would vote to eliminate it, but I certainly would like to have some thought in terms of potentially reducing the cost of the district for that position. Is it something that could be delegated among 3 or 4 different people in different areas, so that, say for example, your time was 100 hours, hypothetically, in doing all your grants? Could there be 4 different people where you can delegate a quarter to each one and potentially save the district some money?
Yeah, we already do that. No, but
Can we somehow reduce this item by maybe half the dollar amount?
I was just hoping that we would have some money to maintain a grant writer.
And in that idea of compromise, would you give us a potentially different number that a board member could make a motion on that item? I mean, we want it to be reasonable. Clearly, I agree with other board members. We don't want to lose $2 million for $100,000. That doesn't make any sense. But as we're clearly trying to save every dollar, if we could potentially do it in a different manner, maybe say 60,000 or 40,000, certainly would be,
I'll take 60.
okay, there's a motion on the floor right now.
I think,
Who did that motion?
Well, we have a motion.
We have a motion on the floor, we have
still
to.
discussion.
Well, now that, would you like to amend it to
Well,
60?
do you want, can you just reiterate what your motion is?
I thought my motion
Was was eliminate the position Director of Special Programs. Correct. And it was seconded, correct?
Seconded by
It was
Andrew.
seconded by
Yes.
Andrew. Just making sure we have this all together. So we need to move that to a vote.
And now knowing that they could potentially do it for half the price, would you amend it to reduce that item by?
Well, why don't we just vote on the motion we have, and then we'll, if you want to
Okay,
make
then I'll
another one,
make-
we'll make another
And
one.
then you can make another motion.
All those in favor of removing, eliminating the Director of Special Programs position? All those in favor?
Me.
Got two. Mr. Cavanero and Mr. Rivera. All those opposed? Would be everybody else.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that the administration reduce that line item for Director of Special Services. Programs. I'm sorry, be reduced by amount of 50,000.
Do we have a second?
Reduce it by 50,000?
Reduce that position.
Reduce it by half-time.
No, he wants to
She
reduce
said
the.
60, I say,
Okay.
let's do 50.
So
So
you're
instead
giving me
that,
10 more.
what's that? You
So
can do
you're
it by
giving me,
10.
no, you're giving me 10 more. Because
Okay,
you're reducing by 50, so that'll leave me 70.
okay, then let's reduce it by
50.
50. So we're gonna, they're gonna get all the grant writing done, but we're going to reduce that item by $50,000. And they're going to make it work administratively.
Do we have a second for that motion?
This is an I just, need a second. I'll second it.
Second for Mr. Rivera. Discussion. Mr. Rivera.
So you want to keep the Director of Special Programs or this is in lieu of this position?
We're going to, right now we have a position, we still have a director.
Yeah.
What I'm making a motion to do is have to request that the administration on that item, the expenditure for the director be reduced by $50,000.
Salary alone,
Salary alone.
not time, and this individual's only responsibilities would be grant writing. Is that, I just want to be very clear.
Right.
So we're hiring a $60,000 grant writer. Basically.
That's what your motion is?
We're getting some feedback here. This is a union position in the administrators union. So there might be difficulty in, if you bring in a part-time person, it might be claimed. Yes,
So
true.
you either keep it or eliminate.
You either keep it or you don't, is what I'm getting from this side of my head.
We just voted not to eliminate it.
Okay. Any further discussion on the item to reduce the director?
You can't, you're saying you can't do this position on a part-time basis or a half position?
It would have to be bargained.
You could, but there's a likelihood it would be grieved and the work be claimed by the union. Correct?
Cheryl, when you were the director, you were a,
Part of the Administrators Association.
it's tough to get anything done.
Can I ask for a clarifying?
Yes.
Has everything but the grant writing been absorbed in other places at this point for this year?
No, not yet. No.
Okay.
Any further discussion on the motion to reduce the Director of Special Programs by $50,000? Seeing none, all those in favor?
I guess I'll done.
All those opposed? Andrew voted yes. Everyone else voted no. All right, I would like to make a motion. Can I make a motion? I'd like to make a motion that we move this budget to the Board of Finance at the number of $67,215,957.
I'll second.
Second by Daniel. Discussion.
You had said earlier that I would be able to make a motion at the end of these line items that I could either make a motion to add something or reduce something. And I wanted to add back to I wanted to make a motion that the pay to play would be eliminated. Discussion, or at least get a second.
Well, you can't get a second on right now, but
That's what you
we've made
said.
well, I know, but you've made a lot of motions, and I figured that you would have thrown that one in there at some point
No, I
when
was
you wanted
saying
to
with
get it in
your-
there. All right, I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, I'd like to
Your
make
turn.
a motion that we eliminate pay to play for the athletic participants.
Just to clarify, only for the athletics or for pay to participate overall?
I would like to eliminate the $25 fee that we were proposing for both the music program and the athletic program.
I just wanted to be clear, that's all.
Okay. Do we have a second for that? He wants to remove the pay for participate fee and,
The $25
from this budget, the $25, from music and sports.
Music, sports, drama, yeah, I mean, all those things.
And any pay for
Pay
participate
to
fee.
participate.
Okay, discussion.
I've already discussed it, I'm sorry.
Seeing none?
I thought that based on the fact that the athletic department has stated that they would be able to reduce their budget by $30,000, I thought that would more than offset the $25.
If they reduce theirs by 30,000, I would be in support of eliminating the pay-for-play fee for athletics.
What about music?
Is that an actual number? Is that something we can plug in at 30,000?
I thought that's what she said.
She did throw that number out there. She said 30 plus thousand.
And
38.
But is that, Cheryl, is that number, does that number include $30,000 worth of reductions before the number that's already in front of us?
She's talking an additional $30,000.
Or is there an additional $30,000 within the athletic budget that could be realized?
I don't know what you have for numbers up there.
Yeah, hang on one second. The hearing last Wednesday night, it was asked that the athletic director look at her budget and reduce it by 10%. So that directive was given to Janet. Janet came back with a reduction of 30,000, roughly 29 and change of her athletic budget. That's all she felt that she could cut. So that we can cut that right now. But that will then reduce the 67.2 million by approximately 30,000.
There are no cuts to sports or music in this budget.
This time.
Just so,
But she's saying that she can make $30,000 reduction to her line item. I'm saying that based on what I thought I heard last week, that the $25 per student athlete would generate a savings of $23,000.
That was just for sports.
Exactly. So let's just deal with one area first.
do you want to amend your motion?
No.
63,000.
I would like then like both the athletic department, we go right back to what we were talking come forward tonight, just like the athletic department came forward tonight, and say that they could sustain, obviously she says a $30,000 reduction in her budget. The music department apparently has not come forward to say that they can make any reduction. I'm saying have both of them equally share what that $25 per athlete and other extracurricular, obviously, music department, and we eliminate the pay-to-play and reduce both of their items by that dollar amount that you projected, the $25 would save in athletic budget and in the music department's budget. How do you want to phrase that?
Do you want to change your motion to that? Or do you want to vote on your motion?
I can't really change too much in the motion because I don't know what the actual amount of either. I don't really know what the $25, what the actual dollar amount we were saving in the athletic budget, and I don't know what $25 was saving in the music budget. If you could give me those numbers, then I will make the exact motion.
The athletic fee, the student activity $2,500 fee would equate to about $22,000. The music fee would equate to about $13,000.
Okay.
And we did meet with music yesterday, and they said most certainly they could reduce their budget by the $13,000. In lieu of the fee.
Right. So my motion then would be, I would like to have the athletic budget reduced by $22,000. I would like to have the music budget reduced by $13,000, and I would like to have the concept of pay to play for $25 per participant eliminated.
I'll second
That's your
that.
new motion. We have a second over here. Did you hear the motion? The motion is to reduce the athletic budget by $22,000, the music department budget by $13,000, and remove the $25 pay to participate fee from both programs.
The total of the fee is $23,050. Did I get that right?
No, because you have the elementary.
Right, that's right, right, Andrew?
What?
That's right.
Yeah,
Okay. Any discussion?
Elementary is cool.
Any discussion, John?
I kind of like the budget we have.
Okay. Vin?
I'm in favor of that. I think I would like to do away with the pay to participate completely. Absolutely.
Chris, anything?
If the department come in with the numbers to avoid it, that sounds like a more palatable option to me. If they think that they can swing it, I don't know why it wasn't done originally, but all of a sudden the money is there that yes, we can reduce it, but see that as there's less problems without the fee.
Ellen, anything?
I like the budget we have.
Daniel, anything to add? Paul, anything to add? Okay. Those in favor of reducing the athletic budget by $22,000, the music budget by $13,000, and removing the $25 pay to participate fee, those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those opposed? 3. It passes. So, now we take
When we do the final draft for this, did we have back high school administrators, is that added back in there?
It's at no additional cost to the budget. It's to be funded within the budget. All right. I'd like to, tell me if I missed anything, Danielle, from your list. I would like to make a motion to move our budget figure forward. The only adjustments that I see is the minus 36,000. Because we took 10 out for special ed, we put 10 in for the late bus. We took 36,000 out for sports and music. So 3 hours later, we are
saved
at a number
$36,000.
that is $67,179,957. Second by Mr. Oliver. Discussion. Really?
Just, I think think everybody worked really hard on this budget, and I think it's a responsible budget for the students of Torrington, and I think that's what our job is. So I hope we will get support with this budget.
Any further discussion?
Repeat the total one more time.
The total will be $67,179,957 and 22 cents. No, just kidding. For the Washington trip. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Mr. Cavanero? I'm sorry, Mr. Cavanero, it's unanimous in favor. Andrew, you voted in favor.
Oh, okay, I didn't see it, sorry.
There's only one order left.
Motion to adjourn.
I beat you.
Second by David. Discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Yes. I still got the second.
Opposed?
The streak is actually.
Thank you all for coming out.